everybody, so welcome back to the second conditional video. Today we're going to run through the common form, again why it's quite difficult to learn the second conditional. I'm going to hand over to Lawrie.
Okay, let's start by looking at our example here. Now this is probably the most common example of the second conditional that you'll see is something with if I won the lottery.
Yeah,
and right there
absolutely.
from that first clause here, from our if clause, we realize, okay, this is not realistic. Nobody wins the lottery, or at least nobody I know.
No, not at all. I don't think it's happened to me or anyone I know in my circle.
Yeah, so it's an unrealistic, or we call it a hypothetical situation, which is just a fancy word for unrealistic. Unreal. And we're talking about our specific time reference right now. So from my perspective, right now, it is unrealistic or even impossible for me to win the lottery. That's my own view.
I mean, I think there's an important thing to raise on that, Laura, actually, because although you're saying it's kind of impossible, we don't say there is like zero possibility, but it's let's say it's kind of like within the region of like 99%. It's very highly unlikely. That's it.
But you're right, because it is still, there's that little chance, so that means I know exactly what I would do with the money if I did win.
Yes.
And there's my Tesla. So
that's it. Your Tesla's back again. That's it. Okay.
So I think let's look a little bit at the form. So we've spoken about what the meaning is and what the use is. Let's look at the form again. Now we've spoken about this before, about the comma.
Yes.
So remember we have the if clause, right? And we have the main clause. And if the if clause comes first, there's your comma. If it comes second, no comma.
No comma needed.
Right? So I'd buy a Tesla if I won the lottery.
Yeah.
Absolutely accepted language. Doesn't matter what you do, just remember, especially in written language, you need.
Writing.
Otherwise, you do pause when you're speaking. You kind of do pause, even if you do it the other way around. I'd buy a Tesla if I won the lottery. It's a shorter pause than if I won the lottery, I'd buy a Tesla.
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So let's take a look at our form here. Okay, so we've got the if clause, and here's our verb.
Absolutely.
Okay, and it is the past simple.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. And here is our verb, actually. There's our circle on there, so we see it.
Absolutely.
And so we've just got would plus the bare infinitive. And maybe you can say why we call it a bare infinitive.
Oh, that's a good point, Lawrie. Bare infinitive. Oh, I'm not sure on that one myself.
It's because it's bare, so it doesn't have a to.
Oh, yes, of course.
Yeah, so it's bare, it's naked, we could even say. So we don't say I'd to buy, just I'd buy a Tesla. So our bare infinitive is buy without the to. Okay. And of course we see here it's contracted. I'd buy a Tesla.
It's quite common.
Exactly. So especially when we're speaking, we always use contractions that we've spoken about before.
That's
right. One thing, so I teach a lot of German speakers, but it's common all over the place, is that we have a lot of people who want to put the would over here, or even have in both clauses. So I hear a lot of things like, if I would win the lottery, I would do whatever.
And the problem with that is it's kind of mixing with the third conditional a little bit, isn't it?
Right, and we we don't have would in the if clause there.
That's it.
Right, so if you remember, there's this little saying, my kids learned it in school actually, if and would is never good.
I like that. That's fantastic,
And for the first conditional as well, there's one, if and will is overkill.
Oh, right.
So just sort of remember that in your head. Now, of course, there's an exception to everything in English. We don't talk about rules, we talk about patterns. And one is the verb would like, right? So the formal of want. So if you would like to sit down, something like that.
Yes,
would work out in the if clause, we'd have a would in there, but that's really the only exception to that. Otherwise, remember, if and would is never good.
I mean, actually, that's a good point, Lawrie, but I often hear that, like, would you like to sit down is often in question forms, isn't it, as well?
Okay,
it?
Sure.
Okay, good.
Okay, good. So, do we need to look at a little bit of pronunciation? Now, this is something we mentioned a couple of times, that it's difficult for people to pick up on that if. And it's especially difficult, I think, with the second conditional, because we often we speak about yourself. It's often with the first person there.
Absolutely.
So we don't say if I. Maybe if you're lucky, we'll say if I. But if you're especially unlucky, and it is pretty common, it's like if I won the lottery.
If I won the lottery.
Yeah, we don't even pronounce that I. So if I won the lottery, I'd buy a Tesla.
That's
right.
it.
So a lot of linking in there that makes it hard.
That's it.
For people to pick up on it.
Yeah. That's it. Absolutely. So let's just have a look at an example, shall we, Lawrie? So maybe
we could start with an example with if I were.
If I were, which is more American, isn't it? Do you think?
No, I mean I learned it in school.
Right.
Yeah. So if I were, why don't we try it with this one?
Okay. If I were a boy.
If I were, how about this one?
Okay. Oh, okay. If I were queen.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, why do we use were?
I can't remember. You did tell me before, Lawrie, didn't you?
Yeah. Well, you'll see both.
Right, which
if
is what
I
I'd use.
Queen,
I would use that.
You would use this one?
I'd use was.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Now, I remember specifically in school that our teachers were talking to us about this. If I were queen, it's grammatically correct.
Right.
But it's one of those situations where if I was queen is so widespread that it has become grammatically correct.
I see.
Okay.
I see.
So if you want to be a little like the queen, maybe be a little snobby, you could just say if I were, right? Or I mean, if you say if I was, it's absolutely fine.
It's also fine, right? Yeah.
And I bet in the next 20 years we're going to see a lot less of this and a lot more of this. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So do you think that's I mean, is that quite widespread in the States, or would you say that form?
I definitely hear it a lot. I wouldn't say it's widespread, but I mean, especially among teachers, because we like to kind of use the grammatical things that we learned and sort of be sticklers to it, even though maybe real people aren't using it like that. If I were.
That's good. Okay, excellent stuff.
And then one last thing that we can look at here, if we want to be especially formal in English, we could also say something like this. Okay? Were I the queen, I would, I don't know.
Legalize cannabis, for example.
There you go. Now I know what you would do.
Yes. That's it.
Yeah, so this is a little bit more formal for sure. It's not something I would say in normal language.
Right. It is the kind of thing I can imagine Queen Elizabeth saying though.
Yes, exactly. In a very fancy voice. Can you do it?
Yeah. Were I the queen, I would legalize cannabis.
Perfect.
Okay, enough. Okay, we're here to
one more thing to look at, just really quickly, is that would occasionally can be replaced with could.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
So let's see an example. If I were or was good at languages, I could learn Arabic.
Yeah. Or another language. Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now we spoke on the first video, our introduction video, about why conditionals are quite hard, and I think, it's my opinion, is that it's the forming of the conditionals that's very difficult.
Absolutely.
The concept, the fact that it's unrealistic, I think that's pretty easy to grasp, but it's just really having to reproduce them in spoken language. So there's a nice little kind of game that we could play.
Yeah.
It's called a conditionals chain.
Yeah.
So let's try it out.
We'll see if we can do it. Okay.
And for the learners, I mean, you can do it with yourself at home. I mean, just sort of bounce it back and forth and think about how to do it, or get a partner, or with some friends that you're learning with. So it goes like this. We'll start with our sample sentence here. So, if I won the lottery, I'd buy a Tesla.
Okay.
And now you say, if I bought a Tesla,
I'd invest in additional equipment.
Okay. If I invested in additional equipment, I would buy, now you know I know nothing about cars, a really loud stereo.
A really loud stereo. Okay, so if I bought a really loud stereo, I'd annoy all my neighbors.
Yeah, that's a nice one. So if I annoyed all my neighbors, they would call the cops.
Yeah, and if they called the cops, you'd be in a lot of trouble.
And if I were in a lot of trouble, I would be so much cooler.
I think so. Yeah, I think that's good, isn't it?
Yeah, and on. Yeah. You can go on forever with a chain like that, basically. Yeah, as long as your imagination carries you. Yeah. So I mean, that's just one way to keep practicing it. Exactly, and just try to keep formulating the different phrases, the different clauses in your head, and then I think, like we said before, practice makes perfect, and that's maybe one of the easiest ways to just remember.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that's great, Lawrie, isn't it? Yeah. Well, thanks for that, Lawrie. Okay, and we'll see you on the next video.